Yeah. New developments in the deadly shooting of a man by a Metro police officer. That officer shot and killed a man whose wife asked for help, saying she was being assaulted in their car.
That man was Kevin Hicks, pictured here. His family provided this photo to Eyewitness News. And today we've learned that he has a long violent history.
Yeah, we also know that Hicks wasn't supposed to be free, and he failed to check into a halfway house when the confrontation occurred. Our comprehensive coverage starts where the shootings occurred with our crime bureau reporter Steve Jefferson and what police say the security video shows.
A very important part of the investigation is video from one of the cameras at the gas station you see behind me. Police say it helps tell the story about what happened right before the deadly shooting. The family of 44-year-old Kevin Hicks is looking for answers in his shooting death at the hands of police. Hicks' wife flagged down an officer for help after driving into the 10th and Rule Street gas station Tuesday night. She told police her husband was assaulting her, but when the officer confronted Hicks, police say cameras recorded a fist fight.
You can clearly see arms flailing and punches being thrown by Mr. Hicks. And then, like I said, at that point you can see the officer trying to disengage, which is what they're trained to do.
Witnesses told police during the fight, Hicks kept coming after the officer, who even announced his next move.
Announced that he was going to use his taser. We also have corroborating witness statements that says that taser was knocked out of his hand during this physical altercation with Mr. Hicks.
After suffering bumps, bruises, and a bite on the hand during the fight here at the gas station, the officer used deadly force, something one of Hicks' relatives, who asked not to be identified, now questions.
Why did he have to lose his life? You know, was it other remedies could have been taken, as far as him getting killed?
The officer is home recovering from bumps and bruises, plus that bite mark on the hand. Since the shooting, there's been a heavier police presence here at 10th and Rule, including officers canvassing the neighborhood to find possibly even more witnesses. On the crime beat, I'm Steve Jefferson. Back to you in the studio.
All right, thank you, Steve Jefferson on the east side tonight.
Kevin Hicks had been arrested more than 24 times, mostly for charges related to domestic violence.
Eyewitness News reporter Emily Longnecker found out where Hicks was supposed to be last night when he got into that deadly fight on the east side.
Marion County had just issued an arrest warrant for Kevin Hicks around the same time an IMPD officer shot and killed him at this east side gas station. Court records show Hicks had a pass yesterday to leave the work release program he'd been in since March to job search. When he didn't come back, though, police got a warrant. Last night's deadly encounter wasn't the first time police had run-ins with Hicks. Court records show police visited his home at least 3 times last year after his wife called 911 saying he had hit or choked her. According to records from June, Heather Hicks called police and told them, quote, her husband had tried to attack her and has struck her in the side of the head. Those same records show Mrs. Hicks also told police, quote, that he grabbed her around the throat with his hand, squeezing it as if to cut off her airway. Later that month, Mrs. Hicks sent a letter to the court asking a judge to drop a restraining order against her husband. The letter said, quote, we have a 2-year-old son, so I need him to help me. My job requires me to travel out of town quite often, and I need to be able to have contact with Kevin. Yes, we have had a few incidents between the two of us, but I do believe with the alcohol treatment he is getting through the courts, this will not be an issue any longer. A month after the judge honored Mrs. Hicks' request, police were back at the Hicks home for another domestic violence call, an incident that landed Mr. Hicks in a Department of Corrections facility before he went to the work release program last month.
And Mrs. Hicks told police they've been married since 2000. In that time, Mr. Hicks has been charged with domestic violence and battery 16 times. We also found out 2 years ago Mrs. Hicks filed for divorce, but it was never final.